Again there, YouTube fans. This is the real Creepy Doll Man here. I'm back, but this is not an episode or a special message. I'll tell you that I had dedicated this episode a couple days ago to Brandon Young. Now, it's been a while since I've done it. This is August the 29th of 2018. Time is now 3:24 a.m. I've decided to let y'all know why I dedicate the episode to him so late and why the real Creepy Doll Man decided to wait it so long. Well, number one, I dedicated an episode a few days ago called Curse, Haunted, and Possessed Dolls. The episode was called Witch Dolls. In it, I mentioned a name that some viewers, which are the real Creepy Doll Man fans and all YouTube fans, to know that I dedicated the episode to the late Brandon Young. Now, Brandon Young died at a young age. He died at the age of 14 years old. He was murdered and killed by his best friend due to a jealous ordeal. And I'll go back to mention that when we get to that. But this young man died on August the 31st of 1995, or it was August the 31st of 1996. Why did I wait so long to dedicate the episode to him? That's hard to say. But let me mention that after this, I decided to dedicate the episode to him. But I'm going to explain a little bit more about Brandon Young. Now, Brandon Young at the time was dating my niece. Now, we're going to not mention her real name to protect her real identity. So the real Creepy Doll Man's going to give her a different name to protect her real name. So we're going to call Mandy. Now, Mandy introduced me to this young man, Brandon Young. I at first didn't like him too well. But down the road, I decided to let him do this. One time, I won a pool table back on December the 5th of 1995. Wait a minute, I got it wrong. It's 1994, my mistake. That I won the pool table. And I also got to get a real picture taken with a celebrity. His name is Bruce Campbell, when he was doing this series, Frisco County Jr. Now, you know that I decided to say that I also got a $250 gift certificate, but I'm going to brag that to a lot of the fans. I did get Bruce Campbell's autograph, but it was on a cheap piece of paper. But let's go back to what happened to Brandon Young after that. Now, Brandon Young had this best friend that he had. We're not going to mention the assailant name who murdered him. So we're going to leave the name out of the assailant. So he brings this other person in, his best friend, he calls him. I don't know what his name was. I knew his name, but I didn't really care about his name. I know the true name of the assailant name, but I will not mention it. Like I said, I know his true name. But the problem is, I didn't like the way his friend was acting when he brought him in here. I didn't like him at first as well because he was acting kind of odd. I said, that's kind of familiar that this young man is acting more odder than the other guy was. I didn't like at first. But I like him better than I like his friend because he was acting kind of weird. And after that, I think his best friend beat him in a game of pool. It revealed something to me. That he had a very mean, jealous streak. That he doesn't like certain things. He don't like losing. And I think he's also very jealous that he has better stuff than this other person of his best friend did. And he was jealous of Brandon having everything that was handed to him like on a silver platter because of one reason. Brandon Young had cancer at the time. He eventually died probably at the age of 16 or 18 years old. Eventually, about 4 or 5 years later, he would have died anyway. This young man had cancer at a very young age. Don't ask me how did he get cancer, but he had cancer. He was going to die anyway. The sad part is his friend saw this as an opportunity. Since he was so jealous of everything he had, he didn't like me and him becoming friends because this young man, I'm a lot older than this young man. And I only knew him from one time. I didn't get to know him really well before that one time. It's sad to say, I wish I would have stopped him from going home that day because I didn't know what his friend was planning. And in my head, I wish to God I would stop them sooner. Meaning I wouldn't let him go out that back door to go back to his house over on the other side behind the alley where he lived. It's sad to say this young man lost his life due to his friend was very jealous and rage. He murdered this young man, Brandon Young, in cold blood. And it's sad to say he tried to cover it up to make it look like what it appeared to be a suicide. And later down the road we found out it wasn't a suicide. That the killer walked away free and the assailant walked away free, and it's ridiculous that justice wasn't served. And, you know, it's kind of bad out there that some people can get away with murder and some people cannot. So the Real Creepy Doll Man's very upset with it. And after I found out that happened, they tried to make it look like a suicide at first. I was upset. I'm sure a lot of us in the family was upset about it. When we found out the truth that he was murdered in cold blood, it really pissed a lot of people off. Later down in life, it didn't stop my niece from being friends with Brandon Young's mother and father. Even though she was dating their son at the time, she still was friends with them. And also down the line, it didn't stop me from getting to meet his mother and father. If it wasn't for that, meeting his mother and father, but in time, both me and Brandon Young's father got close. He was like a father figure to me. He was close to the father that I would have because my real father passed away when I was 11 years old. And I seen Brandon Young's father as a father figure. And I hung around with him. He was pretty cool. And, you know, I got to meet him. I got to hang out with him. I got to play video games with the man, despite I was a lot older than his son. And I have respect for Brandon Young. Because if it wasn't for him to be introduced to us, which meaning he didn't decide to introduce himself to the family, which was me and my mother and the rest of us, we wouldn't got to know him for a very, very short time. His time being met was very short by me. But later down the road, I got to hang with his father and got to know his father for a much longer time. Like I said, the assailant who murdered Brandon Young is still walking free at this very time. He's a lot younger than me, and we don't know where he's at. We don't care. Eventually, his time will come. He has to face Judgment Day when God comes back to judge him, to put him in his final place, which will probably be hell, or the lake of fire once he dies. But other than that, I'm glad I'm still friends with Brandon Young's father because he's still alive and well. The sad part is his mother has passed on. God forsake that his mother passed on, that she died. But, you know, I went to her funeral and stuff. I went to the funeral of her. I think it took a total on a lot of us when she died. But tragedy, you know, doesn't stop there. That you got a person who murdered a person in cold blood doesn't mean he or she will get away with murder in life when they had to face final judgment. But this young man, like I said, Brandon Young, died at August the 31st of 1995, or it was August the 31st of 1996. I decided to dedicate the episode to him, and it's almost close to his anniversary. I'm going to leak it out now. I'm going to pay my respects on August the 31st of 2018 to Brandon Young one more time. So I said this to his father. If his father is watching this episode now, because I'm going to call him up and tell him to watch his episode, that I dedicate the episode to his son. And I'm going to rededicate this ordeal to pay my respects to his son here on August the 31st of 2018. So we will not forget those who died. And the Creepy Doll Man does have a heart. Because people got to understand this. You don't get away with doing people wrong. And, you know, if I would have stopped that young man from leaving the house because I didn't know what his friend was planning, he would have been alive to this very day. But the problem is his life would have been cut short anyway due that he had cancer. He would have died at 16 or at 20 years old because he had cancer at a young age. I guess his friend thought to see this as an opportunity. The dirty, I ain't gonna say it on what I'm gonna say on Ordeal on this video because it's not gonna be too nice to say in front of the children here who watch this episode. But I say this, that he got away with something he should not. It makes a lot of people angry. So I decided to do this for the Ordeal. And I say, if you like these episodes, keep watching for more to come from the Real Creepy Doll Man. This is not a special message, and this wasn't an episode. This was to dedicate a memory of showing my respects for Brandon Young. I will go back this August the 31st of 2018 to pay my respects again to late Brandon Young this coming week. So keep watching for that episode to come. This is the Real Creepy Doll Man saying goodbye, and God bless you all.